Welcome back. We're here with Ann Gannon and Jim McConnell of the Palm Beach County Tax Collectors. And well, next we wanted to talk a little bit about what someone should do when they're planning to get their first license. What do you suggest people do to prepare for getting their license for the first time?
Well, there's actually some steps that the legislature requires you to do. One is to complete a traffic law and substance abuse education course. And there are course providers, and you can go to our website, which is pbctax.com, and find the providers. And I believe that there's a book that you can download and use. We no longer print that book because of budget constraints in the state, but they can print it at their own expense. And bring the right stuff to us. Bring your original birth certificate and your Social Security card, and these all have to be originals, and 2 proofs of residency or a signed certification of address. If you're living in someone's house, they can certify that you live there. And new drivers under 18 will need a parent or guardian with them to sign the parental consent form. Or you could bring a notarized copy of this form. If you're under 18, you must comply with the school attendance, which is a requirement that you attend school. You can't just come get a driver's license and go to school 1 day a year.
Excellent. Wow. I wasn't aware that that was part of the law.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. Now, what happens when you visit one of your offices to get your learner's license?
Well, the first thing you're going to do is you're going to check in at one of our at our reception desk. They'll issue you a ticket. When you get called to the workstation, you're going to be given a vision test, a written test, and a road signs test as well. So all those 3 things have to happen. After you leave our office, like Ann said, on our website, we do have the driver's handbook that you would use to study. You can download that, print it, whatever you want to do, off of pbctax.com. And then you practice. For the next year, practice, practice, practice.
Yeah. And at what age do you get the learner's permit?
Learner's permit is at 15.
Okay, 15.
Right.
Okay, so if you're coming up on 15, you want to study the signs and just the general rules of the road for the initial test.
Correct. We actually have a sample test on our website.
Oh, perfect.
On our website, we have a page called First Time Driver that lists all the information, all the document requirements that Ann had mentioned.
Excellent.
And like I said, the sample test is great.
Yeah. That would be very helpful.
I took it myself, and
did you?
Yes.
Did you okay?
I won't reveal.
Yeah, sure. That's smart. Yeah.
He didn't pass the sign one.
It's been a long time since I've taken the driving test.
So he guesses what signs mean, but no.
Sure. Yeah.
But the other thing you need to remember if you're getting a beginner's permit is that you must always drive with a licensed driver that's 21 or older, and riding in the front passenger seat, not in the back, and drive during daylight hours for the first 3 months, and after that you can drive between the hours of 6 a.m. and 10 p.m., but after 10 p.m. you're supposed to be home.
I see. So there are some restrictions with that learner's permit.
Yes, there is.
Excellent. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that seems very logical. How old do you need to be to get an intermediate license?
Well, you have to be at least 16 years old and have held a learner's permit for at least 1 year until your 18th birthday, whichever comes first.
I see. Okay. What rules apply to an intermediate license?
If you're over the age of 18, there are no restrictions.
Okay.
But 16-year-olds can drive from 6 a.m. to 11 p.m. 17-year-olds can drive from 5 a.m. to 1 a.m. unless they're being accompanied, unless they're traveling to work after those times. But they would have to be with a driver who's 21 years or older.
I see. Okay. All right. So there are restrictions that they need to be aware of always. So
yes.
Well, that's good to know. Now, when is parental consent required, and what does this mean for the parent or guardian?
Parental consent is required for anyone under the age of 18, and what that means is that the parent is going to share in the responsibility of the teenage driver.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the parent has to be on top of those restrictions and the times, and just say, hey, it's after 11 o'clock. You know, you can't drive.
Correct.
Stuff like that.
Yes.
Okay. Well, good. It's good to know that we parents have some responsibilities as well to help them learn to drive. Well, which road test driving maneuvers do new drivers have the most difficulty with?
the three-point turn. And, you know, from a personal perspective, the most difficult for me learning to drive was my father yelling at me when I couldn't get the clutch out to make the car go. So I kind of have some commiserate with people whose parents don't have a lot of patience.
Sure.
And in today's world in Palm Beach County, learning to drive has got to be very stressful for teenagers.
Yes.
But you know, we administered about 22,000 driver's tests last year, and 85% of the people passed. Now, I don't know if that means we need to make it harder or easier. But to be clear, it really facilitates the process if you go on our website and make an appointment rather than just walking in.
Yeah.
And you can do that at pbctax.com.
Okay.
You can do it 3 months ahead of time.
Yeah.
But I would suggest you do that, and it's so much easier, particularly for parents, because we get a lot of young people that come in during spring breaks and breaks in the summer, and parents don't, because most of us work.
Right, yeah.
It's difficult to bring your child in and sit there for 3 hours, but if you have 200 people in line to take a driving test, it's, and when it's rainy outside, we actually don't do driving tests, so my suggestion would be to watch our websites, because we post on there if Lantana closed, or potentially we would close our office if we have more people in line for service than we have service hours left for that day.
Wow.
And that is posted on our website, but many people don't understand that.
Yeah, I'm sure that gets frustrating. So that makes sense. An appointment really makes a difference.
It does make a difference.
Yeah. And and it's always a disappointment for that teenager who's looking forward to walking out that day with their license, and then they realize, well, maybe that's not going to happen.
Well, Mom might be glad of it.
Right.
I had a friend who told me last week she brought her child in to get the driver's license and she failed. And I said, well, can we help you make another appointment? She said, no, I didn't want her to pass. So it's, you know, there's a lot of peer pressure in the community for kids to get their licenses.
Yeah, and it is difficult, I think, as a parent, to see your child, get ready for this, and you wonder, are they ready? Are they ready to take this test? And it is a little disconcerting sometimes, I think.
You hope they're ready.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah. Well, what can help the teens be sure to pass the driving section of the road test?
Well, the one way to make sure they're ready, like I had stated earlier, is to just make sure you practice. And you want to make sure that you're practicing with an experienced driver. And the other important thing to remember is that when you are getting ready to take the road test, you want to take it in the vehicle that you've been practicing in. You don't want to practice in one vehicle and then the day of the test not know where the different controls are and not be familiar with that vehicle. So it's really important that whatever car you practice in, that's the one that you bring on the day you have to take that road test.
You'd mentioned a clutch earlier. Did both of you learn to drive on a clutch? And
I initially did, yes.
Oh, did you really? Okay.
My father was not particularly happy at first, but
sure, yeah. Well, that makes me wonder how many people, are familiar with clutches as the teens that come in.
Probably not many today.
I wouldn't imagine, and that's not information they necessarily need.
Especially with the young teenager. Don't be nervous. You spent the whole year practicing. There's nothing to be nervous about. You know all the maneuvers. You know everything there is about the vehicle. Just stay calm, stay relaxed, and you'll be fine. 85%.
Yeah.
Like Ann said, pass. So.
Yeah, that's a really good percentage.
It is a good percentage.
Well, I know that Florida, just this year, I believe we passed a law that saying against texting and driving. What do you think is the most important thing for teens to know about texting and driving?
Well, I think that teens need to understand that driving is the #1 killer of teens today, and that driving without distractions is dangerous enough, but driving while texting makes you 23 times more likely to crash.
Wow.
And each year more than 100,000 accidents are caused by texting and driving, and there's really no text that's worth your life, and that is what it is. Once you start texting and driving, you put not just your own life at risk, but everyone around you.
Right. Has there been a jump in teen deaths since cell phones have become more popular?
I don't know exactly, but just my inclination would be to say yes.
Right.
Cell phones. And I think what we need to understand is that when you use a cell phone, and this is for adults also, while you're driving, it impairs your ability to drive. And what they say is it narrows your focus. Instead of watching what's going on all around you, you watch what goes on right in front of your eyes, and that's it.
Yeah, yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Right.
Well, good words of caution for our teens, because yeah, we definitely want them driving safe and obeying the law. So, well, thank you very much. You know, that's a lot of good information, and I hope that the teens that are out there watching and preparing for this test will now know how to move forward. If they want more information, what was the website again where they can find out everything they need for the driver's test?
It's pbctax.com.
Okay, sounds good. Well, Ann Gannon and Jim McConnell have been my guests, and they're with the Palm Beach County Tax Collector's Office. So thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
Our pleasure. Well, and thank you for being with us for Special Edition, and we hope you join us again next time.